everything that you're talking about, they are still way ahead in terms of the ability to predict with a certain degree of accuracy whether or not our actions can lead us into, a ditch or not.
I mean, I wouldn't fully agree with that, because I feel as if the world's finance system is like a bad algorithm in terms of once you set the algorithm in a particular way, it means that, certain other things cannot flow the way they should. For instance, Africa has the most resources on the entire, in the entire world. Nobody, including the IMF, will dispute that. Natural resources we have, but the way the financial algorithm has been set, it means that we cannot, with the narrative and with the rules and everything, benefit as much. And so if we're dealing with a bad financial algorithm that is the world stage, how can we slowly get out of that by knowing how to leverage off debt in a better way, by trying to get to the position where China is getting to, where, okay, fine, you guys used us for a while, but once, we get to a certain stage, we're going to turn the narrative and things around. You know what I mean? So Africa has not got to the stage where China is, where they deliberately just said, okay, fine, you guys make all your goods here, blah, blah, blah. And then they started learning more, till they're dictating the terms, etc., but not fully. Okay. So again, if the world's finance system is set like a bad algorithm, because, I mean, before, we have to remember that gold was linked to how wealthy a dollar is, and how, but gold is not linked to anything. It's not linked. So they're just writing a blank check. It's a computer that gives out $1 trillion. Who's running it?
That's a very interesting.
We have the bad end of the deal. Okay. So how do we get a better end? And how do we learn to come to the table, learn more and more and more? Don't treat them like gods. But we have seats at the table, and we start renegotiating our terms. And that is what I think. I mean, I've looked at some of the things the finance minister is doing, and it seems he has a bit more confidence of coming to the table.
All right.
But we cannot treat IMF as a god, and whether metaphorically or not, I would not say IMF is a god. And we have seats at the table that might not be equal, but they will be if we turn this bad algorithm, financial algorithm, upside down, basically.
So, how do you counter that argument? And I commend you for listening throughout, not trying to interject. So now you've listened to her entire trail of thought in terms of why she cannot accept that. She says that we're coming from colonial, I don't want to go back to, but that is what it looks like, that you have masters and then you work under them, and there's a sort of structure, and so they've created this elusive idea of what an economy is and the money, where it comes from. And so you are saying that we have sovereignty, we are not as self-reliant as we ought to be or would like to be, but we can learn and eventually get there. Take our losses, take our wins, and just do what we can and get there. Not necessarily acquiesce to the whims and caprices of a god. That's her argument. That's the entire argument. So what are you saying about that?
That argument, for me, it seems warped and weird. There's something called the post-war economy.
Yeah.
And how the post-war economy came around, and the role of the Bretton Woods in that post-war economy.